decode the red file. Every line, a truth they tried to erase.
Benazir Bhutto's life was one of destiny and paradox. The daughter of Pakistan's most charismatic leader, she became the first woman to govern a Muslim-majority country in the modern world. To many, she was an icon of democracy and women's empowerment. To others, she symbolized dynastic politics and controversy. Her story is inseparable from Pakistan's turbulent political journey, marked by democracy, dictatorship, reform, and tragedy. Hi, I am Arusa Riaz, and today we will revisit the legacy of Benazir Bhutto, the first Muslim woman to stand at the helm of power. Her story is one of the ambition and betrayal, of dreams turned into tragedy, and of a nation forever changed by her rise and fall. Benazir Bhutto was born on 21st of June 1953 in Karachi. She was the eldest child of Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, a prominent lawyer, landowner, and a politician, and Nusrat Isfahani, who came from a wealthy Iranian family. Her upbringing was privileged, yet her political identity was shaped by her father's populist vision to give the poor roti, kapra, or makan. This duality, elite upbringing combined with populist politics, became the defining paradox of her career. What's remarkable about Benazir's upbringing is how deliberately her father prepared her for leadership despite Pakistan's patriarchal norms. While most women of her social class were expected to focus on domestic life, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto ensured his daughter received the best education possible and exposed her to political strategy from a young age. Benazir's educational journey took her from elite Pakistani schools to some of the world's most prestigious institutions. At the age of 16, she attended Radcliffe College at Harvard University, where she graduated with a degree in comparative government. She then continued to the University of Oxford, where she studied philosophy, politics, and economics, and made history as the first Asian woman to be elected president of prestigious Oxford Union Debating Society. Benazir returned to Pakistan in 1977, graduating from Oxford just as her father's government faced a military coup led by General Muhammad Zia-ul-Haq. What was meant to be the beginning of a promising political career instead became a personal and political tragedy that would define the next chapter of her life. Following the military coup in 1977, Benazir's father was deposed, imprisoned, and ultimately executed in 1979 after a controversial trial. These events transformed Benazir from a political heir into a symbol of resistance against military rule. She endured periods of house arrest and imprisonment before going into exile in London in 1984, where she continued to advocate for democracy in Pakistan. The execution of her father was a defining moment that cemented Benazir's commitment to politics. She could have chosen a comfortable life abroad, but instead she embraced her role as heir to the Pakistan People's Party despite the personal risks. This period demonstrated her remarkable resilience and commitment to the political legacy she inherited. Benazir returned to Pakistan in April 1986 to a hero's welcome, with crowds numbering in the millions celebrating her return. The unexpected death of General Zia in a plane crash in August 1988 opened the door for democratic elections. Despite being pregnant with her first child and facing significant gender bias, Benazir led the Pakistan People's Party to victory in November 1988 elections. On December 2, 1988, at just 35 years old, Benazir Bhutto was sworn in as Prime Minister of Pakistan, becoming the first woman to lead a Muslim-majority nation in the modern era. Her election captured global attention and symbolized a new era of potential progress for Pakistan. Bhutto's first term focused on social reforms and rebuilding democratic institutions after years of military rule. Her government worked to improve healthcare, education, and women's rights. She established women's police stations and courts staffed by women to make the justice system more accessible. Her government also initiated infrastructure projects, bringing electricity to rural areas and working to modernize the economy. Bhutto's first term represented a cultural shift for Pakistan. Having a young, Western-educated woman leading the country challenged traditional norms and offered a different face of Pakistan to the world. However, her government faced constant challenges from conservative elements and the military establishment, which limited her ability to implement her full agenda. Bhutto's government faced persistent allegations of corruption, particularly focused on her husband Asif Ali Zardari, who became known as Mr. 10% for allegedly demanding kickbacks on government contracts. These allegations led President Ghulam Ishaq Khan to dismiss her first government in 1990, though she was never convicted of these charges in Pakistan. Benazir Bhutto's political career was constantly shadowed by scandals. Many of these cases were pursued internationally, but most were politically motivated, designed less to prove guilt and more to damage her credibility. One of the most notorious episodes came in the 1990s, when Nawaz Sharif allegedly had pamphlets dropped from a helicopter targeting Benazir's personal life rather than her politics. This episode illustrated how in Pakistan, political rivalry often extended beyond politics into outright character assassination. These scandals and smear campaigns were meant to weaken her. Yet despite the relentless attacks, Benazir remained a powerful figure whose appeal and resilience kept her at the center of Pakistan's political stage until her tragic assassination. After 3 years in opposition, Bhutto returned to power in 1993, becoming Prime Minister for a second term. Her government focused on economic modernization and technological development, including the launch of Pakistan's satellite program. However, this term was marked by continued controversy, including a bitter feud with her brother Murtaza, who was critical of her government. Tragically, Murtaza was killed in a police encounter in 1996, further complicating Bhutto's political position. In November 1996, President Farooq Laghari dismissed Bhutto's second government, again citing corruption and mismanagement. After losing subsequent elections, Bhutto left Pakistan in 1999, beginning nearly a decade of self-imposed exile primarily in London and Dubai. During her years in exile, Bhutto remained politically active, writing, giving lectures, and maintaining leadership of the Pakistan People's Party in absentia. Meanwhile, in Pakistan, General Pervez Musharraf had taken power in military coup, establishing a new government that would eventually negotiate Bhutto's return. In 2007, after negotiations with Musharraf that included an amnesty from corruption charges, Bhutto returned to Pakistan to participate in upcoming elections. Her homecoming parade in Karachi was attacked by suicide bombers, killing more than 150 people but sparing Bhutto. Despite this assassination attempt, she continued campaigning for the upcoming elections. The security arrangements for Bhutto were notably insufficient given the known threats against her. There were multiple attempts to alert authorities to specific threats, but these warnings were not adequately acted upon. The failure to provide adequate protection remains one of the most controversial aspects of her return. On 27th of December 2007, after speaking at a campaign rally in Rawalpindi, Benazir Bhutto was assassinated. The attack involved gunfire followed by a suicide bomb. The exact circumstances remain disputed, with some witnesses claiming she was shot while others attributed her death to hitting her head on the vehicle's sunroof during the explosion. What is undeniable is that Pakistan lost one of its most prominent political figures in a devastating act of violence. Bhutto's funeral drew hundreds of thousands of mourners, and her burial at the family mausoleum reflected her status as a political martyr. The assassination triggered widespread violence and protests across Pakistan, leading to the postponement of elections and creating a profound political crisis. The investigation into Bhutto's assassination became almost as controversial as killing itself. A United Nations commission later found that the investigation had been deliberately hampered and that crime scene evidence was destroyed when the area was hosed down immediately after the attack. The UN report concluded that Pakistani authorities had failed to provide adequate security despite known risks. There were multiple competing narratives about who was responsible for Bhutto's assassination. The government initially blamed Taliban leader Baitullah Mahsood, but others pointed to possible elements within the establishment. What's clear is that the investigation suffered from significant procedural errors and possible interference. In the years following the assassination, several individuals connected to the investigation met violent ends. The lead prosecutor was assassinated in 2013, and others involved in the case faced threats. These incidents further complicated efforts to establish a definitive account of who was responsible for Bhutto's death. Benazir Bhutto's legacy remains deeply contested. To her supporters, she represents democratic values, women's empowerment, and progressive change. She inspired millions of women in Pakistan and across the Muslim world to pursue leadership roles. The Benazir Income Support Program, established after her death, has provided cash transfer to millions of poor families and stands as significant social welfare achievement bearing her name. Regardless of political affiliation, Bhutto's rise to leadership broke a significant barrier for women in Muslim-majority societies. She demonstrated that women could not only participate in politics but could lead nations. This symbolic impact continues to inspire new generation of women leaders across the Islamic world. To critics, Bhutto's legacy is marred by corruption allegations and questions about her effectiveness as a leader. The persistence of corruption cases, some of which continued against her husband after her death, complicated her political legacy. These contrasting views ensure that Bhutto remains a figure of both admiration and controversy. Benazir Bhutto's life encompassed extraordinary privilege and profound tragedy, historic achievement and persistent controversy. She broke barriers as a woman leader in Muslim world, navigated complex political landscapes, and ultimately sacrificed her life for her political beliefs. Her story reflects both the possibilities and challenges of democracy in Pakistan, a nation that oscillated between military rule and democratic transition throughout its history. What remains undeniable is Bhutto's enduring significance as a symbol of women's leadership and of the complex interplay between modernity and tradition in Muslim societies. Her life continues to inspire debate and discussion, reflecting the ongoing tensions and transformation in Pakistan and beyond. However, one assesses her political career. Benazir Bhutto's impact on her country and her groundbreaking role as a female leader in the Muslim world secure her place in history. A decade and a half later, who truly killed Benazir is still unanswered. This silence reveals not just a murder unpunished, but the deeper shadows that shape Pakistan, where truth, power and destiny remain entangled in secrecy. Share your thoughts below and don't forget to subscribe for more untold stories of courage, sacrifice and history.